y'all. We hope you enjoyed your Christmas. We know some of you are new here, so we figured we'd take a trip down memory lane.
Here's a deep dive replay that'll help you get to know us just a little bit better. We hope you enjoy it. Welcome to another deep dive edition of the Chicks on the Right podcast. We have been in this outfit, our PJs, for like three straight days.
Yeah. We're starting to reek, you guys. It's really getting ugly at this point.
It's getting to be. But you know what? We could have showered between our live stream of this morning and the recording of this episode. But then we thought,
Why would we do that?
We're not. Yeah. We're going to be real in this episode.
Might as well just not shower. Yeah. So last week, my father passed away, and I told you guys at the end of last week that had happened after a full week of I just wasn't myself the whole week. And people were like, what's going on with you? Are you, you just are not yourself. And so I think it was Friday that I told everybody. Mm-hmm. I was like, it was a week ago tomorrow. Now we're recording this. It would be a week ago yesterday that I told everybody, that my dad passed away. And I was like, I should probably, do something a little deeper about this and give people a little bit more information about what's going on. My husband prompted me to do that, first of all, because he was like, you just don't share enough. And you're like, you keep things, And then it's funny because Pastor Shelley wrote me something the other day. She's like, you're like Melissa Manchester. You like that remember that song, Don't Cry Out Loud?
Yes.
Keep it inside.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh my God, that song. Yeah. So anyway, so my husband encouraged me to do it. And then I talked to you and Valen, our producer Valen. And I was like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with doing that. But you guys encouraged me to do it. And so I thought, you know what, we'll just talk a little bit about that, because I figured I'm like the only person that has family issues or a dysfunctional family. And you were like, I assure you that you're not the only person. And when you said that out loud, you would not believe, already I started getting a lot of people writing and saying, Daisy, like, I have a really dysfunctional family. Let me tell you about it. And just the support that I've already gotten with people not even knowing what's going on. Or what had happened in my family at all. So it just, the support, the love, the encouragement, the sweet words, so appreciative of people in our community. We have the best community
ever.
My
God. It's amazing.
Greatest people. So backing up to last Monday, 2 Mondays ago, I got a text from Miriam. I was in the car with my family. It was the Monday before my daughter went back to school. And so we were all getting back from eating at Cracker Barrel. And I get a text from Miriam, and she was like, I just saw your sister's Facebook. She was still friends with my sister on Facebook. She's like, am I reading right? Oh my God, it's stupid to ask if you're okay, but are you okay? What can I do? And
should I tell why tell like my perspective of this that's happening?
Right, totally.
Or I should?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason I texted her that is because I'm not on Facebook super often where I would see her sister's posts, but for some reason I was on it and I saw her sister post photographs of their dad and her sister's now deceased husband together with a caption that said, together again, I miss you both so much. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm thinking that surely that can't mean that her father passed away. That can't mean that, right? I immediately go to text her. And when I said that text, I got one of those auto things that says Amy Jo has notifications silenced. And I thought to myself, well, of course she does, because she just found out her father passed away. And so of course she's not taking text messages right now. And I just sort of sat back and waited. But then I scrolled down on her sister's Facebook and saw the official announcement. And so then I knew 100% that her father had passed away. Go.
Yeah. So I was like, I wrote back and I go, wait, what is happening? Call me.
Oh my God.
I don't know what's happening.
And then I was like, oh my God, I have to tell her.
Yeah. She was like, oh my God, she doesn't know. So Miriam called me. And so I'm on the phone in the car with my husband and my daughter, and Miriam is having to tell me that my father has passed away and reading me what is going on. And then, come to find out after, I'm in shock. And she's bawling. hysterically on the phone because she's having to be the one to do this. And, listen, it's not that I'm having to console her, but she's like, you shouldn't be consoling me. I'm just like, I can't believe I'm having to tell you this. Oh my God. And she feels terrible that I'm glad it was her that she's the one that told me. I mean, I can't think of a better person to tell me in that moment. Right. But she told me. And then, I'm like, what? Like, what is even going on? And then come to find out he had had lung cancer for 4 months, and I didn't know about that. And then after, you kind of have to backtrack. You have to go backwards after that. So, during that day, things were unraveling, like the onion was peeling back. And I started learning things about, like, there are other people in my family that knew that, not immediate family, obviously, but there are other people in my extended family that knew that he was sick, and I didn't know. And I guess some of the people were sworn to secrecy and they weren't supposed to tell me that he was sick. And so it was just like this weird feeling of betrayal. Like, I was sad. I was like all the emotions, every emotion you can think of, a big roller coaster of emotion. So I had not spoken to my father the last time I spoke to my father was 3 years ago this February. I have a bunch of stuff written here because I have to remember, because it's like the past 30 years with my dad have been kind of like a shitstorm. The first 18 years of my life with my dad were great. I had a great childhood. I grew up in a really loving household, 2 great parents. I feel like I was pretty well adjusted up to that point. Like my
7 houses away from my husband.
Yeah. I grew up in a good neighborhood, everything was wonderful. And then, and I can backtrack to that, but there's just lots of stuff leading up to that. But the last time I talked to my dad was 3 years ago. And,
so what happened that made that relationship go bad?
Well, I should probably back up to what made it go bad, right? So 30-ish years ago, 33-ish years ago, I was 19? When I was 19, I came home from college. And I just remember, like, I didn't come home from college much when I was around a junior in college, because by that time you're pretty established in college and you don't like coming home. You like being at college more than you like being at home. And so I came home, and I remember my mother just wasn't well. Like, she was real thin. You could tell she was just like, something was going on. She was frazzled. Things were not good in the house. And I can't remember if that was the reason I came home, but I just remember coming home that weekend. And I found out that my dad he had been cheating on my mother. And so up to that point, everything everything was great. Like, my parents' marriage was, at least to me, I thought it was a wonderful marriage. Everything was great. The house was great. Our family was perfect. Everything was wonderful. So I'd find out that he had been cheating on my mom. And we all just sort of, I guess, recognized the fact that he had probably been doing this for several years. And so in that moment, like, I figured, okay, well, the guy that I knew was no longer the guy that I knew. Right. So, everything flipped for me that weekend. And I called a family meeting because I think he was just going to assume that he was going to go on living his life. Like, he was going to keep cheating on my mom and then being married to my mom. And so I said, family meeting. And so I called a family meeting, and I was like, all right, here's the deal. So you can't stay married to mom and keep doing this. You need to GTFO. And so he left. He packed his stuff and he left. And so in that moment, I went from being a daughter to being like this object of opposition from my dad. And so it wasn't just him changing for me. I changed for him. I think that I went from being, like this person that he liked to somebody that he probably didn't like very much anymore. And
because you called him on his shit.
I called him on his shit. Yeah. And so it wasn't just me that looked at him differently. He looked at me differently. And we just were never the same after that moment, ever. And so it was both of us, it was a mutual thing. And we just kind of butted heads from that point forward. It never recovered. My sister always looked at him. even in the times where I think she was sort of like on my side, where she was pissed off and, she was like, I'm mad at dad for this. And I'm, looking at him a little, she still really, adored him. And that's okay. That's fine. That was like she had every right to do that. It's just that I didn't. And so we just didn't have the same relationship from that point forward. And it never recovered. And 33 years were just like, ups and downs, ups and downs. There were times where I tried to have a relationship with him. Like I think
you always tried.
I always was the one who extended the olive branch. And I always was the one who was like, okay, well, I'm going to try to, go visit him. I'm going to try to have a relationship with him. I'm going to try to make this work. I'm going to, do my best to have some semblance of a father-daughter thing here. And it just never stuck. We never got to the point where we could get back to the place that we were. It just never got that stable footing, if you will. So we just never got there. Like I remember, when my husband and I was married once before, and that we were never close during that marriage. And then when I got divorced and I got married to my husband, my now husband, we were getting ready to get married. And my dad was like, hey, we'll pay for the whole wedding. And I remember going through that whole process, and it was like this, he wanted this over the top thing. And I went to him and I said, you know what? It's not really our style. We're more casual. We don't want all this like, steak and lobster stuff. We don't want anything fancy. And so we butted heads about that. And I said, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and pay for it on our own. We're going to have something really casual. We ended up having like a $600 wedding, and it was like the reception was at our house and I was barefoot and it was, really.
It was the way that
it was the way that we wanted it. Right. And he hated that. He just hated it. So we butted heads about that. I mean, just little things along the way that were like that. And so it's stuff like that all during this like trying to have a relationship with them. As you know, I am a chronic insomniac. I have trouble sleeping a lot, and that's partly because of who I am, partly because of menopause. But this stuff, this healthy cell stuff, the REM sleep, bomb, you guys. I love it. And it actually works because, other stuff that I've taken in the past, it's like a pill or whatever. It takes a long time to digest. This stuff, it gets right into your bloodstream. It absorbs 167% faster than pills. And it's just awesome. It works. And when you're trying to sleep, you don't want to wait. You just want to go to sleep. You know what I mean?
And stay asleep.
Right. And this stuff has all the stuff in it. This is what Healthy Cell is so wonderful at doing, is they combine all the things that you need into one
This is how many pills are in that packet.
A packet of goo, which is yummy, yummy goo. I swear I could eat more than one, but I don't. I try to refrain. But anyways, it's great stuff. It actually works. They have a line of other stuff. They got hair stuff. They've got, regular vitamins, but this stuff for sleep specifically is fantastic. So encourage everybody to try it.
And it's cherry flavored. Flavored. All you need to do is go to healthycell.com/chicks. And when you use code chicks, you get 20% off your first order. Try one of their other products.
Yes.
They're all amazing.
All of them. But then, like when my daughter was born, I tried again to have this relationship with him, because I knew that since there was this baby girl there, that she may want to have a relationship with him. And so I tried very hard to extend an olive branch. I would invite him to every single birthday party that she had for the first 5 years of her life, because those birthday parties are like people standing around and watching this sweet little baby, shove cake all over the place. And so I invited him to all those birthdays. He never came. There was always an excuse for him not to come, whether it was some weird logistical thing or if it was, weather. I remember there was
but then he would always bitch to you about bringing Gwen to see him in Florida.
Right.
When he's retired, she's working her ass off basically in 2 jobs, because that was corporate
sometimes
and
3.
chicks.
Sometimes 3, because I was also a professor at the time. So there were times where I had 3 jobs, and it was really hard for me to get away. And I was like, you can come here and see her. And there were times where he would fly into town, into Indianapolis, and bypass us and just go see his brothers in South Bend. And we would be like, you can stop here and come see your granddaughter. And so it was always that I had to make arrangements to do the things. And I felt like there was just, again, it was like, it's just this feeling of rejection and abandonment that was just lingering all the time in our relationship. It was just there. It was like right there on the surface. And so I felt like I was always the one having to do that. And then he would complain that I was trying to somehow keep my daughter from him, which was absurd. It was completely absurd. And so that was that. So anyway, so that kind of hung out during our entire, I guess, relationship, if you want to call it relationship. And then there were times we just didn't talk, because we would argue and we would fight a lot. And there was that. So anyways, the past 3 years, we have not spoken. And what happened 3 years ago was my sister was getting ready to get married. Her husband is now deceased. He passed away, unfortunately. Gosh, what was it?
After a year.
Yeah.
They've been married a year.
They were married a year and he passed away during the surgery. It was awful. But she was getting ready to get married, and she told me that she was going to have a very, very small wedding and no one was going to be invited, and that so nobody's going to be there. So my mother and I were not going to be invited, and nobody's going to be there. And come to find out, she was inviting people. However, my mother and I were not invited. And so this was going to be broadcast on Facebook, and it was going to be on social media. And I was devastated for my mother. I mean, I could handle it because I thought, okay, no big deal, because, like, whatever, I'll see. We've seen some stuff. We've been through some stuff. So whatever, I can handle that. But my mother was going to be devastated by the fact that, like, my dad was going to be there. My stepmom was going to be there. His whole family was going to be there. And my mom was going to be left out of this. And she was going to be watching this on social media, devastated because she was not invited to her oldest daughter's wedding. Right. So I was pissed. And so I called my dad and I said, I cannot believe she lied about this. She is a liar. And he hung up the phone on me.
And that was that.
And that was that. He never reached out. He never called me again. He just hung up on me because he didn't want to hear that. And so they went through with the wedding, and they were all there. And my mother and I were excluded, and they just left us out of everything.
And when did the whole, like, Facebook, like, social media block happen?
Within a couple weeks
after that.
Then everybody, we were blocked. Everybody was blocked from we were just completely, like, shunned. We were done. So that was it. So that was it. And there was never a time where he, reached out and wanted to say, gosh, I'm really sorry about that. Or, we should get together, or he wanted to even have some semblance of a relationship with my daughter, or my husband for that matter. I mean, there's just nothing, absolutely nothing over the past 3 years. So I didn't pursue it. I just kind of thought, well, this is what he wants. And so I'm done with that. And I've extended a lot of olive branches. At this point in my life, I just figured, okay, I'm done with that. And so the weird thing about it is that there's a weird narrative in my family that I am somehow the reason for it. Like, I'm somehow the reason for the space, like the reason for the distance and the reason for the rejection and the abandonment. And it's so weird how that's somehow put off on me. And I just sort of own it. Like, I kind of go, okay, well, I guess if that's the narrative, then I just kind of go with it. But it's weird how you, after years of it, and if you don't push back, you end up with that label on you. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre how narratives get formed in families. And you just, if you don't push back, you end up owning those narratives. It's just really strange to me.
It's gaslighting.
It is. It's kind of like gaslighting. It really is. And I wasn't, when my sister's husband died, I wasn't invited to her wedding. I wasn't invited to her marriage because I wasn't invited to her wedding. And so I wasn't there. And so when he passed away, she somehow expected me to be there for the funeral, and I didn't show up for the funeral. I did call her and I, told her, listen, I'm very sorry. And basically I love you. And if you need me, you can call me, but I didn't show up for the funeral because I wasn't.
You had some serious life going on at the time. Cause I feel like there was a part of you that you would have gone had you not had a lot of other obligations personally with Gwen and swimming. And there was just a lot of stuff going on.
Well, there was, but I mean, it was very strange for me because I'm like, okay, I wasn't invited to your life,
right,
with this person, and then now that he's gone, you want me to be there for you for the funeral. That was just an odd thing for me, and she hates me for that. I mean, she just hates me. So that was very strange for me, and the family hates me for that too, because they think that I should have been there, but they didn't think that I was good enough to come to the wedding and be there for the life they had together. It's just a very bizarre thing. My family wasn't good enough to be there for either of those things. It's just bizarre. So the whole, the abandonment thing is real. Now I look at like my dad and I think, okay, so for 4 months he knew he was going to leave this earth. And, I've had discussions over the past week with my husband about this. And I think, okay, he knew he was going to go. I mean, you think that in your last days, I just wonder what I would do.
You would not do this.
I wonder, like with my children, and I wonder if I had some sort of beef with first of all 3 of our children. I mean, no, I would always, I feel like I would never stop communicating with my children. I just can't imagine not communicating with them. That's just me. I mean, everybody, to each their own, right? But I just can't imagine taking anything to my grave if I were angry, or if I can't imagine having that much hate for one of my children where I would not want to say something to them before, if I knew I was going to go. It's one thing to not know, but when 4 months in advance, when you know that you're going to go, to not want to say something to them, or to say something to your only grandchild,
or to want to leave the earth with that cloud
hanging over your head
and not wanting resolution yourself. Like, that's just bizarre to me that he wanted to go to the grave, specifically gave instructions to her sister, do not tell her when I die.
Right. Don't tell her.
What the hell is that?
Don't tell her that I am dying, and don't tell her. Yeah, I don't. And there's been no funeral. There was no obituary. There's been nothing. It's so bizarre.
And even if there were, that no one would send her anything. Right. It would be us finding it on the internet.
Right. I've not been privy to any information about any of this. It's like I don't exist. It's like the family wants me to know. They're so like, you don't exist. You're not even a daughter. I've gotten 4 messages from people since he's passed.
In your family, you mean?
In my no, family and friends combined.
Excluding our community, who's been amazing.
You guys have been amazing. You guys have been absolutely amazing, like above and beyond. But I've gotten, let's see, from my family, I've received 1 person in my family that has reached out to me. It was a cousin. One of my first cousins has reached out to me to say that they were sorry. And then I've had 3 friends, 3 friends. 3 childhood friends reach out to me.
Who know that this happened.
Right. And that's it. And that's it. That's it. 1 person in my family has reached out to me.
That is fucked up.
1 person. And that's it. And I'm astounded by that. I mean, these are people who it's like I've been there when their loved ones have passed away. Just in the past year, I've been there for them. It's like, and nothing, not a peep. It's a eye opener. It's been an eye opening week or 2 for me. And then another thing that's super eye opening is that, I normally would have just not said a thing. I would have not done this. I would have just talked about it with her and would have kept it with my family. But I think that there are a lot of people that deal with this kind of stuff. I think one thing that, has been very eye-opening for me is the amount of emails and messages I've received from people who I don't know personally, who are writing me their personal stories and saying, you are not alone in this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, here's my family story. This is what happened to me. I was estranged from my father. I was estranged from my sister and my brother and my mother. And this is what happened. And like similar stories. And that has really touched me because I honestly, last week when I mentioned this to you guys, I was like, I am the only person who's dealing with this.
Oh my God.
I'm the only, like my family is so messed up. And I honestly thought it's so hard for me to be able to even share this, like with people that I semi-know, like even people that I work with, because I'm just like, you kind of want to act like you have everything together. You know what I mean? And you're just like, it's fine. It's totally fine. Like my family's fine. It's fine. But, you would be surprised how many people are dealing with stuff like this. And that, they go to work, they have friends, they have, their lives, and then they have this looming in the background. And they do feel abandoned by somebody in their family, or they do feel rejected, or they're dealing with just the emotional upheaval of stuff like this.
Yeah.
And you have no idea. So, I appreciate the messages and the love and the support of all y'all, because man, it made such a huge difference just reading some of that stuff and
knowing you're not alone.
Right.
Because it's way more abnormal to have a normal family.
Be normal.
It
It's so
is.
true. Yeah, because that's the thing. It's families are dynamic. They are complicated and dynamic and crazy
and hard. They can be
hard. They can be really hard. And I'm grateful that I've been able to build an immediate family that is awesome. I'm so grateful for my husband, who is an amazing father. God, he's such a great father. I'll get really emotional talking about him. And my kids are amazing, and I have the greatest friend in the whole world, and I have this great community. I'm so grateful for so many things. So I win. You know what I mean? I win the lottery with that. Like seriously, I've won the lottery with life. It's like I cannot be more grateful for all that stuff. So I didn't think I was going to cry.
Damn it. Why did you do that?
I don't know.
We made it. We're almost to the end, and right? You lose it.
So
and
good.
I will sympathy cry. I will.
No, I've been so good about that for the past couple of days. I've been so good about not crying. But I'm truly, it's a good cry. It's like a happy cry. Because I really am grateful for all that stuff, you guys. So, and that's what you have to do. You have to be grateful for the good stuff. Right?
Totally.
Right?
Totally. And I don't mean to, because that's a really beautiful way to end this.
Yeah.
But I also have vengeance in my heart about this whole thing. And so the other thing to be grateful for is she's never going to be the kind of person who would go to her deathbed with this kind of vendetta against a member of her own family. That is fucked up. And the reason that I was sobbing when I called her was rage. It had nothing to do with being sad about her father dying. Maybe that sounds shitty that I wasn't sad about it.
Part of it is I'd already mourned him over the past 2 years. I've had my moments over the past week, but when you haven't talked to somebody and they've rejected you, you already go through periods of crying and mourning over that person. I imagine you guys understand that if you've been through that. I already did that.
Yeah. But there was always a chance.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean? And now there isn't. And that is 100% on him.
Right.
So the fact that he went to his death with that kind of thing hanging, like a cloud hanging over that he controlled is that's a sickness. That's fucked up. And she will never be that fucked up. So
yeah,
I was just in a rage that was how you were finding out. I could not believe that that side of the family would do that to her.
I love my kids, and I cannot wait to have grandkids. And I don't get it. I don't get that.
That's a whole different mentality.
I don't get it. And you know what? I'm so glad I don't get that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just glad I don't get it. And I'm grateful for that too. So, and grateful for all this. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. It's really weird.
It's not our typical deep dive.
So weird. And I hope we're talking about midget porn next time, because this is really weird. But I'm grateful that I have this platform to be able to do this, right? What a blessing. What a blessing it is, and what a blessing you guys are.
And no one out there is alone.
We're not alone, right? We're not alone. So, mwah, I love you guys.
Thanks for watching. We'll be back January 6th, so make sure to tune in and bring a friend.
Follow us and subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Link in bio.